All right, so this is the Harman analog control board. The one we are looking at is on a P43, but it is the same on every Harman stove that does not have a touchscreen. So first and foremost, turning the stove on and off will be this knob. This will control your heat. Top right knob will control your feed once there's been fire established in the stove. And this little switch is going to control your igniter. I will go over all these controls. So, I like Harman. They color coordinated everything. Orange, room temp, goes with the orange temperatures. Green, that says constant burn, goes with the green 1 through 7. So if we were going to be setting the stove and you wanted to go by the temperature, you could set it to, let's say, 70 degrees. And then you would just turn the stove on and it would self-ignite and it would run. These control boards have a ±4 differential, which means if we're setting it to 70 degrees, the stove should be kicking on at 66 or below and would kick itself off at 74 or above. All right. Now, if you wanted to go to constant burn, then you would disregard these orange numbers and instead look at the 1 through 7. 1 is your smallest flame, or what is called a pilot or maintenance flame, and 7 would be your highest flame. This knob, besides from controlling whether it's on room temp or constant burn, will also control how the fan blows into your room, the RPMs of the distribution fan. So the closer it is to off, whether on room temp or on constant burn, then that fan will be spinning at its lowest RPMs. The further it is from off, the higher the RPMs of that stove. Okay? So if we were to do constant burn at its current setting, 4 would be about a medium flame. So your heat output wouldn't be the highest of the stove, but it wouldn't be the lowest of the stove. It would be right about at the middle. All right? Now, as far as this feed limit knob goes, for the most part, when we install your stove, we'll test fire it, we'll set it where it needs to go. About 99% of the time, that's going to be right around 4. That's why they changed the color of it to white. Everything else is blue. To remind you, keep it on 4. If you want to bring it down to 3, if need be, then the installers and your technicians will know how to do that. For the most part, we should disregard that feed limit knob is even there, because if you're playing with it when it doesn't need it, then you'll be changing the efficiency and efficacy of all the components in the stove. The last control here is the igniter toggle, auto disabled. Most of the time, you're going to want to leave that on auto. The time when you would want to disable that is if, say, your igniter is not working, you call Higgins Energy, and we can't come out for a couple weeks because we're in the middle of our busy season. Rather than this being a couple 100-pound paperweight, you could disable the igniter. You would light the pellets yourself with your own torch. If you want to use some heating gel, you could do that. And then the rest of the stove would work exactly the same. It just takes the igniter out of the circuitry. The last thing with these control boards is there are lights that will correlate with everything that's working. So when we first turn on the stove, you'll see the combustion fan is kicked on. If we put that on auto, then you'll see the igniter and feed motor is also on. Once the stove gets up to temperature, you would watch the distribution fan kick on. So this is telling you what is running on your stove, when, how it's running, so you could pay attention to that. The last most important thing on here is your status light. When the stove is running, that status light is fully on. When the stove is off, that status light will kick off. Now, every once in a while, you will see that status light blink. So if I go to put it on, we're seeing blinks right now. Those blinks are essentially the stove's check engine light, and it's telling you that something's wrong with the stove, and it's actually telling you what's wrong with the stove. In this instance, 4 blinks means the room sensing probe is not correct. It's either shredded, not working, not connected to the control board. So once we fix that, you'd reset the stove, which the hard reset of the stove is unplug it, wait 30 seconds, plug it back in, and then the status light would go away. The status lights can blink anywhere from 2 times to 6 times. So if you do see that, make note of it. When you call us to schedule an appointment, let us know how many times that status light is flashing, and we'll be able to help you that much more efficiently. All right, thank you, and we'll see you in our next video.